Good afternoon, coders. Those people who followed my recent post about the DarkBASIC forums or the Game Creator forums or AppGameKit forums closing down would know that that's a bit of a hit to a lot of people, and the bunch of preservation works have been going on to try and build archives and caches of this thing. I wasn't planning on doing that, and I haven't actually done a whole thing. I've done a partial bits and pieces to test out some theories. So this is a front end, a web front end. It's locally hosted, so we've got, you need a local server and some with PHP. I use Laragon. It's perfectly fine for my needs. Quick run through. The way the capture is done is that you pretty much browse the local capture, and you pick a forum you're interested in, right? The ones here that are in black are forums that there are posts have been discovered that belong to that forum. The ones here in red, there are no posts that have been discovered. So I visited a lot of bits and pieces of the boards and captured certain threads, but they're not all there. The thread titles are pretty much all there as of whenever that was made. You know, I think it was the start of February or something like that, just before they were going to close the whole thing down. I think they're rethinking that closure now, but so this may not be necessary, which is a pain, isn't it? Anyway, so you'd go to a forum here, because I was very active in the DarkBASIC Classic forum and the DarkBASIC Professional community. I walked through a lot of this stuff. So a lot of this stuff, these ones here are actually present. The ones in blue here are present. So you've got a local version, or you can view the captured HTML version of it. Let's search for something, I don't know, space. So now we can see that there are heaps of pages here aren't captured locally. So you would click on the link here, takes you to that page. If you want to save it and then drag it back into the archive, you can. You can watch them locally. See a simple render of the whole thing happening here. Like I added a search here. You can do some local sort of stuff here. The one I like to use the most is to sort by post count. So you can find threads that relate to your keyword that happen to be the most popular ones, the ones that have the most conversation about them. Yeah, but that's only searching within inside the thread title. If it's not in that thread title, it's no use to you. You can go to search archive. This time it's doing if every thread that's been looked at and imported. It's been broken down into what words exist in that thread. There's a big map of what words exist, and these are the threads in order of precedence that have these words in them. Really, this is what I was hoping to do, is to be able to search this data locally and find things. It's been such a difficult thing to do. So this keyword here, space, appears in these documents here. There's probably thousands of them actually. Yeah, there's 2,500 there. So if you want to do search for something with classic sort of ones like sprite collision or something like that, it treats each word individually, and the threads that rise to the top are the ones that are the threads that contain the two keywords. And they're sorted by the most recent thread. So the further you go down, there's less and less keyword matches, and they're older. So it's a very common request, that one there in particular. One that shows that this is not doing thread titles is this, which is a kind of robots game that we're trying to build in DarkBASIC Classic a long time ago. That the idea was to have like a little programming language, a maze, and the robots, you had to write code to drive the object outside of the maze, and either avoid other obstacles or destroy them. So a very dumbed down idea about how to program it from the get-go. But it's found that keyword inside here. Oh, there it is. It doesn't keep an occurrence count, actually. If you want to have the occurrences of these things highlighted, that's possible during the display. For each thread, it keeps a list of the keywords and what messages they map to. So you would pretty much run through and do that insertion there and then, I would think. The way it works, to break this problem down, well, there you go, so that's the original links. When I write the importer, it skims through and grabs the messages. We'll go back to that actually. So I'll go up here. We'll still be searching for Kairos, but so there's nothing titled with Kairos, so there's no way to find that. So I'll just go back to having no search. Pick something here. I don't know. That one there looks good. That one there looks good. Local. That's our local imported view. When we go back, this link beside it is actually, oh sorry. Shows the local capture of that thread. So what the importer does is it runs through and finds the message data and creates a little structure, a little array of structures. For each message has certain characteristics about, or certain attributes. So who posted the message ID, the text within the message, and it keeps track of what people posted what messages. So you can actually go back and do a search by user and show all the threads they created that have been captured locally. And the other one is that you could find replies they've made in other people's posts. That's really what I wanted to do, because I made a lot of posts on these boards, and I think I made like 100 threads, but there's like 1,500 posts of mine that have been discovered across the different sections as you walk through. They tend to be in under certain keywords, so sprite collision and this kind of stuff, my name comes up. But yeah, the thing walks through, it generates that list, and then we output a JSON file for the local representation of that. So it's just the raw message that's pretty much reversed from its HTML state into a kind of markup state. So we're doing like a reverse of what the boards do when they render messages out and show them to you. There's the internal markup state that people edit their posts within, and then that's phrased, and if you use a YouTube video, the video player is inserted. If you use an image, that's inserted. When they're saved like this, it actually embeds the image data and that kind of stuff, which is not great in terms of the size. You end up with these massive files. Yeah, there's lots of stuff I haven't got around to looking at. A good example of how this works too is that when you browse through these pages and it shows you at the bottom of the page, it says, oh well, you haven't got these pages here locally, so you can just grab them and then cut and paste them into this single file thing. So you just grab a bunch of those things and it just grabs those things from the board, saves them locally as one file. There's no external dependencies. Whatever images they have are baked into the HTML. So when the importer does import, it actually goes through and separates the images out from the text and to try and compress all of that data down. Same with searching, really. It runs through the threads, splits the raw text from the markup code. Each thread has a little database about what words were used within that thread and what posts they were used within. then that is then merged into the global. Effectively, it's the same process. It's just another word cache about what words exist across the whole board and what threads they were used within. That's just a big list. It's a big blob of data. It's like 100 meg saved as a JSON file. It's kind of hoping to rearrange that a little bit and reduce the size. But the initial sort of naive solution is just a big blob of data. That's pretty much the process. So this is the raw cache. These are the threads as they exist. So we've got a global search table. It's 120 meg, saved as a JSON file. When you load this thing into PHP, we're talking about here, you can actually hit some limitations of PHP. The amount of memory each instance is allowed to have. I had to bump that a few times. Kind of annoying, but you can see here what the thing is doing. Actually, it's going. Here's the capture of the HTML page. It's thread name, the ID, what page within that thread it was. This is page 0, and this is the JSON representation. But then you have a search version of that, which is just all of the text, the unique words within the table. And so we've got this word occurs in message 0, message 8, message 13. And they're base indexed from this happens to be message 7. So there are offsets for that thing there. Now, clearly what you could do is that a lot of these, as threads get larger, the repetition becomes much more. So you could spot, obvious sort of patterns in those things and pull them out, which would be much more beneficial for the bigger version. Ideally, you would just have, in a global cache up here, you wouldn't have one massive cache for every word possible in every thread. You would have, I think a better way of doing it would be to have maybe split alphabetically or something like that, so you might have different tables, and that would reduce the size of the tables dramatically, and then the keywords you're using probably aren't in all of the caches all at once. I think that would work much better, and it's minimal effort. I mean, you just run through the table and save it out again. I mean, who cares, honestly? Look at the code that does the search. So just grabbing the search terms, whatever they were when you last added them. We've got the results array is really just whatever things were spat out of this thing. We're bumping our limit to 2 gig because just loading this thing here can be quite chunky when it's in memory. I think here we probably should return a reference to this table when it's loaded. That's probably a more efficient way of doing that, actually. Would save copying the data too. So it's 100 and something meg, so to load that into memory is a big concern, and then have to duplicate that thing. But you'd hope that that's just a reference passed out anyway. I'm pretty sure it is, but maybe it's not. I don't know. I have to check that. Bit of timing, blah. Grabbing our keywords, splitting them down. These are the threads that we've discovered things in. For each keyword we find, we apply a power of 2, pretty much. So we can then sort them later on. So we just skim through our words and look at the word cache and go, is this word in the cache? If it is, great. What threads did this thing use? And we just add them to the output. So we repeat this process for all the keywords. At the end of this, each used thread ID has a score associated with it. So if you have 3 search words, the first word will be bit 1, bit 2, bit 3. Or if you want to, so in other words, a thread that has all 3 words in it will be tagged as a search value of 7, because first word's in it, so it's a 1. Second word's in it, that's a 2. Third word's in it, so it's a 4. So when they're all amalgamated together, you get 7. Bit of base 2. Do a quick sort to sift the ones with the highest number of matches to the top, and we sweep through, and I sweep through there and reshuffle them into. I think there's a way of doing this in PHP, but I'm not quite sure what the syntax is. But anyway, it just sifts through, makes a bucket, and because I want to have the indexes sorted again as well as the counts. So something with the same count but with a newer index, because the thread index is really just like a date. The higher the thread index, the more recent something is. The smaller thread index is, the lower it is. So it just pops out the back. So we end up with records that appear to be from newest to oldest. Bit of timing there. And that's actually the whole sorting thing. So it's the sort's simple, but it's just building that data structure is kind of ugly. It takes quite a while for this code to go through and build that structure from all of the threads that have been imported. You know, it's literally just a brute force mechanic running through, and the way it's set up at the moment, it builds the searching database stuff from the actual raw conversion of the HTML to the markdown versions, which, you know, is much slower. Obviously, what you do if you want to make this more of a more useful thing to use in other things. I was really wanted to get this principle working. I thought, is this actually good enough to do locally? Because obviously the thought would be, rather than need PHP, just have these as JSON files and have that done locally in JS in the browser, which I think would work pretty well. You still got the same problems. You've got to load these databases in, but once you've got them in memory, doing local searches should be fine. Given how much memory modern browsers chew up these days, it shouldn't be a huge problem. I would say I don't know how well it would run, but you know, I'm sure all the JS gurus will be able to solve that problem. It's not my problem. Yeah, the last bit here, we're just loading this template and spitting out the results. So that this page here is just the template, and we're just inserting these keywords back into the template. So as we found results earlier, we made a bunch of links up here to our product, our IDs, and then that goes in the output list down here. That's what this stuff here is for. What about okay, so keyword attack has come through. I think what might be useful is actually to show what keywords match within what threads. If you had like a local view, we could go, this is the keywords that appear within these threads here. They appear within this thread, this thread, this thread. That's something I thought would be very doable from the JS side of this. Don't know. Anyway, that's pretty much it for me with this thing. It's just a matter now of trying to think a bit more laterally about how to make that search as efficient as possible, so it can be applied to not just this stuff here. I've got my own forums I want to do the same thing with, and this is one of the roadblocks I had with that. I just thought it would make this huge pile of data that seemed insurmountable at the time, but it seems like it's coming up pretty well. It's probably you could run like a local database, but I just had this. To me, I think, well, if you're going to have the website or a capture of something be static, then just make it all static. Don't have any external dependencies at all. Just go, well, all right, let's just do it all JS. In this case, it's PHP, but the display aspect of this could just be just JS. Something else I added too is you can do searches for things that have videos in them. This is one of the announcements that was up the other day. I posted a video in here. Yeah. So it pulls the video HTML out of the messages, inserts just standard sort of square bracket YouTube things with the video ID back in its place. So that means you can do a search for what videos have YouTube links in them, which I think is kind of pretty handy actually. Surprising how useful that's been, because it means you can kind of go through and work out, oh, they've got videos in those things. Okay, Raycast 2D problem. It should play. I don't know what I'm watching, by the way, but anyway, it's cool. It's amazing. The images have been saved. The size of these things is not really... I didn't bother about that stuff. I probably should have bothered about that. Code blocks it keeps as well, by the way. Anyway, got any ideas? If you want ideas about how to build how to improve the searching and that kind of stuff, always open to ideas about how to do it better. I think the splitting it up will probably solve the memory constraint issues, and it should be quick enough to just grab the smaller subsets, and then if you need to compress what threads things access, then I think that's probably doable as well. Anyway guys, thanks for watching, thanks for caring, all that kind of stuff, and enjoy your coding, and I'll see you next time. Bye.